Hello, friends, and welcome to the Conservative Poet. I'm really excited to be doing this impromptu stream, and I have a special guest for this stream. His name is Lance, and he has his own YouTube, Lance Scurv, and I we've been chatting for a couple of weeks, and we thought, you know what? Let's just have a conversation, and so we kind of made it happen today. I'm really excited for the conversation, and I'm gonna bring him on, and and we're just gonna do it. So, Lance, welcome, welcome,
Yes, yes.
welcome, welcome.
I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be here. And I love it when it's shoot from the hip. I love your style. We're going to blend well together. And
Oh,
feel free to
awesome.
ask me anything. There's no question
Okay.
that you cannot ask me.
Okay. Well, I kind of like that. But tell us a little bit about you now before we get I don't know if I told you, but I watched your video on leaving America and falling into the embrace of Ghana, like that whole poetic thing, like how you laid that down. Tell us about
Oh,
your journey. Tell
my side chick named Ghana. That's the one?
That's the one.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
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 Wow. That was kind of hot. Well, it's so much to embrace, encompass, to be able to funnel it down to this, and that, but I'm going to try. Okay.
Okay.
If you're an abstract thinker, we'll get along fine and you'll understand me more because I speak that way because I'm an artist, right? I'm a
Yeah.
creative. So I don't follow the strict rules. All my life, I'm not going to say America was bad.
Okay.
This is not about an anti-America thing. It's an anti-system type of situation for me. I love the people. I love the American people. Some of them can be hard to get along with. The land is beautiful, but the system not fitting in, always running into obstacles that are unnecessary. It became a bit too much. If you want to know about, okay, I'll start out this way. I was born and raised in New York City, April 8th, 1963. I had both of my parents. My father had his own interior decorating business. My mother worked in the colleges and taught in colleges, and she also sung opera and graduated from the Juilliard School of Music.
Wow.
I have all these influences.
Yes.
And we're a close-knit family. They showed me everything. You know, New York is the kind of place that when you grow up there, if utilized right, you can travel the world without leaving the state. Now, it's not like I didn't leave the state. And excuse me for sweating so much. I have 4 lights in front of me. So my head's going to look like a light bulb after a while. So I was exposed to so much. And I thank God for the parents that I have. And I was always raised to be an optimist, to be one who sees the best in people. But there are a few things that I learned after a while. And as an adorable little boy, I had lots of great experiences. But I found out that when I got a little older, a little bigger, I got into athletics, I got into competitive bodybuilding. And as I got bigger and stronger, the people who saw me as an adorable little handsome boy looked at me as a threat. And I didn't know what was going on. I was prepared for it through words of my parents and others, but to feel it was a different story. So now I'm forced to anticipate certain things and have to process certain things and now question individuals as I meet them. And it got to be too much of a hassle. The turning point for me in my heart dealing with America is on January 26, 1989, when I was pulled over. I just purchased a brand new car and I had friends of mine there. We were heading to the all-night store because one of my friends' mothers wanted to get some extra food that she thought she had to cook for the father for breakfast. So I said, I'll go. My car was the last car in the driveway. And so I was pulled over by police officers. I've told this story time and time again. I don't want to dominate the whole time, but the bottom line is I was yanked out of my car and beat by 11 police officers because they thought that I was driving with no insurance. So they gave the usual charges of assaulting an officer, all of this crazy stuff that eventually was dropped. But the experience really took away a lot of the love and hope that I had for growing up in America, which could be a great place, but right now it's off the chain. So in my travels, coming to Ghana for the first time, landing April 25th, 2019, I couldn't believe the feeling that I had here. I always say it this way. When you're a little child, for you it would be a girl, for me it would be a boy. At one point in America, that might be a sin to say it that way, right?
We're going to get into that.
Huh? Say it again?
I said we're going to get into that, but
okay,
go ahead.
Okay, we're going to have a good one tonight. You're coming home from school with your classmates. You're walking. It's a long walk. It's a safe community. You have heavy book bags on your shoulder full of books. You get home and you take it off and you say, wow, I didn't realize that this was so heavy, right? Because you're having fun with your friends and now you're like, whoa, that was a heavy book bag. Well, that's the same exact way I felt when I came to Ghana. After a while, I felt light. I didn't have to carry this book bag symbolically of having to be careful which neighborhood I went down, to be able to read people who don't see me as who see me as a threat. You see what I mean? So this freedom to move about was something wonderful for me. And then the culture, right? The people, you can greet them, they speak with you, you can talk with them. You can talk to the men, of course, but you can speak in a friendly tone to the young ladies and they don't think that you're trying to hit on them. All of these different things that I experienced. So now I felt like a bird who was in a cage for a long time. Mm-hmm. And the cage was in a cruel manner put next to the window. So I can't flap my wings, but I'm watching other birds fly. Now I'm in a position where I can feel as though now I can fly. I could take a walk 2:00 in the morning if I want and not have to worry about being held up at gunpoint. When I would see the police officers, there was no anticipation like I would feel after that experience. And they would ask me, are you okay, brother? And give me a dap, a fist pound, and smile and talk. And yes, there are people everywhere who may look at you strange because now I was that guy from somewhere else because but it was mainly a curiosity. So I would take a walk out and think I was going to take a walk for 15, 20 minutes and come back 4 hours later because I was engaging with the people who were so interested to know what life was like in America. And I didn't want to break their bubble, but I had to tell them the truth when I move about. They say, hey, if you go to America, can you take me with you? And I said, brother or sister, you might not want to do that. Not because I'm saying it's so terrible, but because of what they see on social media, what they see on Instagram, and this must be heaven. They always kind of gravitate toward the nicer things, not realizing what's behind it and what you have to go through and what you may really go through when you go there. And so I would tell them, but they're still, not realizing what they have here if they stop thinking about what's going on in America, which is a falsehood because they have the greatest propaganda machine, America. They have all of these programs that go out there, but then when you really look at it, it's not the best place to live. It all depends. Now, if you brought me back to America and said, you have to stay here, I'll take to it like a duck to water because I know what it entails. But if I had my choice, no, I'm happy. I built a nice home, 3 stories, solid poured concrete. You can see the stonework behind me. This is a big studio. I have my man cave. There's a wall. This is not a materialistic rant. All I'm saying is that I would not be able to live this good if I was still in America. We took our home, we sold it, right? Mm-hmm. And boom, I'm somewhere where everything is paid for. There's mangoes, avocados, pineapples, all kind of berries and fruits that you don't see in America. I don't know the name of it, but I'm steady eating things growing under the ground, and I can walk. I have balconies. Can't believe it. And I'm in the mountains. It's beautiful and peaceful.
Wow.
I went down to the village today because I'm up in the mountains. Everybody knows me. They may not know my name. Hey, I haven't seen you for a while. That organic human to human contact.
Wow.
It's a beautiful thing instead of just a mean mug. And, you know, only when we're with our inner circle in America do we feel we can relax. But when you go out beyond your neighborhood, you don't know who's coming. You go to the ATM and you look around first to see if anybody's standing around in a dangerous way. And then you wait. Everything is looking over your shoulder. Everything feels like the walls are crushing in. And a lot of us don't realize it. We're like the lobster in the temperature is increasing, but we don't realize it. And so when do we really have a time to be free? I know I've been running my mouth. I've been doing these interviews for years. So go ahead and listen. Clear the space and ask some questions.
I just, wow. Just the way you lay that out, your experience being in Ghana versus being in America. And, you know, I want to take it a little bit further back for when you were growing up. Something you said kind of stuck to me. And I want to just touch on that a little bit before we move on any further.
Sure.
You said like when you were growing up, you started, you know, you were developing, becoming this man, this, you know, and
Yes.
people were afraid of what you were becoming, your development. And it kind of just made me wonder if it's two parts, if they were, you know, afraid of the kind of big masculine man that you were becoming, or why were they, you know, hesitant towards you? Because I was wondering if it was, well, you know, you were being too masculine, and therefore they needed you to be more feminine. Because when we look at everything today in the society, what we see is any kind of man with any kind of, you know, alphas like yourself, all of that is frowned upon, and nobody wants to, you know, they want to sissify our boys. And so that's where my mind went when you were talking about that.
Yes.
But you went in a whole new route, and I was like,
right.
Oh no.
Right. Well, we'll pull it back. How can I say it? Manhood is not toxic. Manhood is necessary. Proper manhood is necessary. Mm-hmm. Social media, the television set, the media, which is not generally owned by us, they definitely have an agenda to demonize masculinity. Mm-hmm. Back in the day, in America, you had that big, strong man who was the father, who was the husband, who was that reputable neighbor in the neighborhood. He didn't allow certain things to go on around him. If the children needed correction, whether they were his children or not, he would correct them. And everybody would accept that because we had a moral compass, aside from the racism and classism and eventual sexism, right? Mm-hmm. We had an understanding across the races to a point for certain things that were not proper. But we're influenced so much that the world has been turned inside out and upside down and so twisted. So the time that I came up, manhood was applauded. I'm 62 years old in April, so I go back a little further than what most people think. And my memory goes deep. I was born in 63, but I can remember things from the late 60s as my father and mother and our inner circle would explain things to me. So that was encouraged. But you see, we had rap music, right? The real rap music, not the hijacked after 1989 by corporate America rap music. And we celebrated our culture. It was something that we created, and manhood was celebrated. But at some point, and I would say after Public Enemy came out, all of a sudden the corporate bigwigs who don't look like us said, oh no, there's too much righteous information being spread here. We have another movement coming through our creativity, which is a thread that holds the fabric of our culture together, not just rap, but so many other things. But I want to point that out, because whenever a group or a race is attacked, they go after the young folks, because they know the older ones who have sense and who have understanding about what's going on, they're going to be gone soon, because the enemy always thinks so many decades in advance. When a neighborhood is gentrified, it doesn't happen overnight. It's thought about and planned out and executed slowly but surely in advance, right? So after that point, we had the hypersexuality, the thuggery, or women were put out there to be playthings. And so the younger kids coming up saw that and wanted to emulate that, because it was so, the materialism was so admired and worshiped. And a lot of our parents didn't know what was going on in the minds of our children. And also there was another agenda that many who fly the rainbow flag today, back then, when I told them, those who I know, because I have a following of those two, and I'm like the older uncle who tells it like it is, and they take the spanking because they know what I'm saying is the truth. They said, oh no, there's no agenda. But now even some of them have to say, this thing is out of control. Lance, you were right from years ago, but I didn't see it. And they're of that nature. They're of that persuasion to destroy our boys in so many different ways, not just one way through media. Don't you know they have a fertilizer called atrazine that is heavily used in California, Texas, and Florida? ATRAZINE, right? And this has been proven by fact that high dosages of it given to frogs turns a male frog into a female frog. And why do you think they have atrazine all over the place here in the motherland? When I go to the markets and look at the fertilizer that they sell, the main ingredient is atrazine. Why is that? So it's not just physical, it's psychological. What we see was pushed on us. That community is such a small number. But if you go by what you see in the media, it's huge. Barack Obama allowed the flag to fly to the White House and all of this. And so our children are being bombarded. Now it's pushed on them. Little children under the Biden administration. Are you sure that you're a boy, but are you sure you're not don't want to be a girl? You know, you don't have to tell your parents now. This is crazy. Yeah. Children that can't, their organs are used just to urinate. But now you're pushing something on them that they can't even handle. As a matter of fact, most of us who are grown can't even handle the power of our sexuality. We can't handle it. We can't handle the attention. We get a little taste of something. I'm going to keep it decent, and we go crazy. We don't understand the responsibility and the sanctity of it, right?
Right.
It's a beautiful thing. It's not trashy. They put it out there trashy, but nobody explains and nurtures us up, because the parents have to work 2 jobs often, and the children have social media. They're in their rooms. They're not even relating with each other. We used to go out and play ball. We'd go to the gym and do some boxing. We'd go and lift weights, whatever. We were masculine. We love women, but we were taught how to respect them also.
Yeah.
The young men these days don't know how to respect women and see what they really are. Of course, they walk past you. You might peek and see how beautifully they're built, but you understand that that's somebody's child and you have to respect them. And nobody goes through the whole thing of dating anymore. Yeah. We just jump in the bed and don't even know that person's last name. You had dating, you had courting, you had engagement, and you had marriage. We go to the club now with young children, and I hear them. I used to work in the jail and the prison when I was in Orlando, Florida. I used to drive the Lynx bus. That's the company, that's the name, Lynx. And I used to hear the young kids. Hey girl, what's up? You got a man? Yeah. Where you at? Oh, he's doing some time. You need somebody to hold you down? Yeah. What's your Facebook? And then the next day when she's not there and it's him and his three other buddies talking about what he had her do and how good it was. That's all I'll say. And then the young girl gets pregnant. Doesn't even know who this guy is. The parents don't know. Our society inside out and outside in. And if you say anything righteous, you're the bad guy.
Yeah.
What's wrong? What happened? Give me some questions.
Yeah, you definitely hit on a whole lot of points there. I'll tackle this one right now, and that is the way we, the women, are treated when it comes to these things, like this example you just gave. And when we look at the society and how, young men are being raised up. So, the rap culture, the music culture, how they, literally use us, we the women, as, I don't know, trash, to put out trash, to trash us. And it's very sad to watch and see, but you're right. The young men, the young people, they gravitate towards that, and they see these in these music videos and so on. And so they portray the same thing in the reality. And so that's why they treat the girl like that. They treat each other this way. And it's a disrespectful thing. But again, we have lost respect for ourselves as women, as girls. We haven't taught our girls these things. And so therefore they don't have that self-respect. They don't have those things. And so they let anybody come in and do whatever they need to do on top of them. They let them come in and do these things because we don't have the self-respect that we need. We don't have those confidences in us. So therefore we don't hold ourselves up as, the queens and the rubies that we are. We just let anybody come through, and it's a disgrace. But, it is a failure on the older generation. Older women, younger women are not really picking up on how they should, carry themselves if they want to end up with, a husband, being married and having that kind of a life, not just being somebody's baby mama. Like, I mean, I remember when they really literally glorified this baby mama nonsense, and everybody, oh, that's my baby mama, yeah, that's my baby mama, my baby daddy right there, that's him, that's my baby daddy, that's my boo. But really? And then you get 4 or 5 different baby daddies, and it's like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? So I have a question though.
Sure.
And I want to know, with you in Ghana, being that we were talking about how they have really sissified men here in the States, and I want to know, what do you see out there in Ghana? Is it the same things, or are men out there castrating themselves like they're doing here? Are they telling boys to become girls? Are they waving the rainbow flag? Like, what is that like there? Because for me, I'm going to tell you, for me here, being in the States, I'm walking in the store, I see a dude in a dress, and it's like, dude, yo, I don't want to. I was sitting at Panera Bread a couple of weeks ago with a friend, and here comes a dude in a dress, and I just so happened to be sitting right where the bathroom entrances are. And so here's a dude in a dress, and I was sitting with an alpha male, and he's like, yo, don't go into the bathroom yet. I'm like, if I go into that bathroom and that man is in you, aren't you going to come in? And he was like, yeah, I'm going to have to do something. So he was like, don't go in the bathroom. But this man in a dress, black man too, by the way, he goes into the men's bathroom, even though he's wearing a woman's outfit. And we're sitting there watching, because I'm like, I need to see what happens here, because I'm not going to sit back quietly and let this man go into this women's bathroom when I'm seeing what's happening. But that's something I witnessed on the ground. And so this is what we're seeing everywhere we go. Like, the restaurants, they have bathrooms, this bathroom, that bathroom. When you go to a Starbucks, you don't know what's happening, but what do you see in Ghana as to what I'm talking about here?
You don't see that in Ghana, but it's here. It's here. Traditionally, Ghanaians are not accepting that. But again, with the influence of social media, this is what I say. It's creeping in. You do have these groups on social media, on TikTok, that cater to that so they can meet. You do have a village here, not a whole village, but there's an area here that I'm going to go into and I'm going to interview some of the people there, and that's all you have there. Now, I'll add on something else. The economy for most Ghanaians here is not too good. It's a very harsh economy. Me living here, I get the exchange rate no matter what it is with American dollars. I'm retired, so when I get my money, I get what it is. So if it's 1 for 15, I get it. If it's 1 for 20 or 1 for 10, I get it. It moves. But for the people who have a static income in the CD, which they call it, right? When that devalues even more, the buying power is less. So there is circumstantial homosexuality here, where you have the tourist areas, okay? You have the beach, one beach called Labadi Beach. And you have, and I've observed this because I got a keen eye. I know what time it is. You'll see grown men who are not of our race, older, walking, and there's a 12 or 13-year-old boy walking behind them. They're trying to be discreet, right? You see a lot of that. You see a lot of grown men who, and I don't mean you're going to spot it right away. You might not see it, but I always see beyond the veil because my New York skills, my eyeballs, I say on most shows, I with my eyes have seen it all. I have seen almost everything. I've never been around the world, but human nature wise, I picked up on a lot because I was wise from young. But it's here. And just like you have in Gambia, right? With the women that come down from Britain, from the UK, and they're looking for black men. That's an epidemic there. It's also here, right? And nobody says anything about it. You have apps where Ghanaian women and men can meet men of other races who may be affluent so they can do their thing. And if you go to certain parts here, there's one part called Osu, O-S-U. It's a little area, but restaurants, clubs, everything, prostitution outright in your face. You'll see it there, right? And that's another thing that many people keep undercover here. So I love it here, but I have to be honest on what I see. Now, this is not all over the place,
right?
But lots of times when you have, for me, I'm going to be a perpetual tourist here because of my accent. See, here they know me, right? In many places I've lived here before I got to the house, they know me. But where they don't know me, they assume I'm a tourist. Well, how long are you going to be visiting here? I'm like, no, I live here. You live here? Yeah, I live here. I'm comfortable. Right? Yeah, so they think that, but sometimes they slip. And I have someone come to me and approach me a certain way. And this is not a homosexual thing. This might be a woman thing. But also, too, I've had a couple guys in my years here that were very friendly, but they weren't overt in what they were saying. But they were kind of trying to figure out maybe, because see, if I'm a visitor, they don't have to look over their shoulders to see if I'm still here to tell on them. And that goes for that community also. That's why underground, it's growing here, but it's not going to be the way it is in the United States because they ain't going for that here. But again, long term, the way Ghana has been in bed with America, and hopefully I see they're rejecting that. Just like Burkina Faso with Ibrahim Traore, that president, that there's so many wonderful things that he's doing, and he is an alpha male, and he is an influence. You have it here, but what I will say is that many Ghanaian men are just laid back. They're a little laid back. They're not that, but they're laid back, as opposed to Nigerian men who they're aggressive and they're going to get that money. So even here, many people in America don't understand that while we say Africa, Africa is not a country, and you know that. Africa is a collection of many countries, 54, if I'm not mistaken. And they all have their language, they all have their culture, but there's a commonality with many of them also when it comes to dealing with somebody who comes from out of the country. So I always say this, even before I left America, one thing I would always know, I see the world and I can discern the spirits and the people around me, but you're always to navigate good is to know how people see you. Because usually when you come out here, I'll say Ghana and many other places in Africa, the folks who are born and raised maybe in the country, or even in the city, they think you have lots of money because that's the perception. One thing I want to break down, and I know I'm going to go back to that other topic, but I want to say this while it's on my mind. The simple, if you want to drive a Lexus or a BMW, right, or a Mercedes, your credit has to be good, of course. But nobody demands that you take every money you have and pay the full price. We have a thing called credit. If your credit is good, you make a down payment, you agree to it, and you drive off the lot. They don't know that here. Here, 95% of the people have to pay cash for their vehicles, right? So because of that, you don't get the newest vehicles, right? You do have a little bit of a credit system for those who work certain jobs or have a certain standing, and they're trying to change that. But when they see you or when they think of America, they think everybody's paying cash for their cars. So they see young folks that have good credit driving around. So they said, oh, no, it must be better over there because look at what they're doing. They're making all this money. They don't understand about mortgage. And you can walk away with a $500,000 home. You put some down and pay for it. But I tell them, if you don't make your payments, you'll be on the curb. But going back to that, it's here, but culturally, it's shamed on. I know people who will flame a little more to let me know that that's what their persuasion is, but there are some nice people here of all persuasions. I'll say that. I don't get down like that, but they seem to know. Like when any animal goes out in the wild and sees a lion, they know we're not messing with that lion. We know what he's about. So I get a lot of that too, but I can spot that.
I'm sure you do, an alpha male like yourself. But what I'm really seeing is like when we see our young people and they are being forced to accept this thing and be a participant of it. And it's just really a shame. And one thing I have to say is, again, our morals have decayed. And when a society is not fully advocating for children and letting children get into these situations where it's not conducive for them, like you mentioned there, people of other colors coming in there taking on little boys. I mean, that's trafficking, that's assault on children, but it happens. Why? And the children go along with it. But where are their parents? Maybe their parents is putting them out there to do that. Again, we as a society are no longer protecting the youth. We're no longer protecting children, and that's from a very early age. And so when you see it that, little kids, little children are being used in this way, I mean, they are literally using children to push this, agenda on us. They're literally telling your children, you can become this, you can become a boy if you want, you can become a girl if you want, you can go ahead and cut off your penis, you can go ahead and cut off your breast because, you can be something else. And the thing is, this is the way our good Lord made us. If he wanted you to be a boy, he would have made you a boy. If he wanted you to be a girl, he would have made you a girl. And when we are in a society where hospitals are literally doing this, and it's like, doctor, where's your morality of do no harm? Like, where do we go with that? Again, you're an adult. You want to do this thing? You go ahead and you do you, friend. You do you. You want to cut it off? You do you. You do you. But keep your hands off the kids. No,
Yes.
somebody has to stand up and protect these children, because I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. And for me, it's really, really bothersome. Again, for me, I feel this is a decay in the church. I'm gonna always go back to the church because I'm a Christian woman, and I believe that the church is really the place where these shepherdings are happening, where we build people up and we send them out into the society. And therefore, if they're built up proper, they're not gonna come out here and do these crazy things. They're just not gonna do that because they don't believe in that, because we have a moral backbone
Yes.
to stand up against these things, especially when it comes to doing harm to children.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I agree with that 1,000,000%. But it's not just what they push on us. It's a spiritual attack. It's demonic. It's real. And many of us who are in position to make a change don't seem to realize that. Time is flying fast. The older you get, the faster time goes. But I do feel time is accelerating faster. It used to be where you see, oh, it's 8 o'clock in the morning. You look at the clock again, it's 8:10. You look again, it's 10:30, 4:30 in the afternoon. Time to go to bed. The week went by quick.
Yeah.
But things are accelerating, but there are many things released on this planet that are not seen. Not to go that way, but I will say it this way. You think not? Well, why is it that we believe in Wi-Fi more than real spirituality? The spiritual plane is there. There are unseen entities out here. There are energies out here. You're positive, there's negative out here. It's even, you look at electricity, it happens that way. But you look, okay, oh, I don't believe in that stuff. Well, let your Wi-Fi go out. Oh, my Wi-Fi, it's not working. Well, can you see your Wi-Fi on computer? It's something that we deal with all the time. But why not? And that's a knockoff on the way the creator made this world. And we're breaking rules, and there are consequences for breaking those rules. And this is why we have such a societal breakdown. And those entities working through people in power are turning the world around. What's good is bad and what's bad is good.
Yeah.
And we have this mental sickness. They're encouraging things. And that's been set up from a long time ago. When they took the whole label of that rainbow situation off as being a mental illness. The spirit is embedded now, and they're going to take this world by force, and that's what they say, and that's where our fight is. They're going to go after the children. It's not right. It's sick.
No. It is sick, and you're absolutely right. And it started, sometime back. I think it was like late 69, I think it was 69, where this thing really, really propelled. And it started with Stonewall and in New York City, right?
Yep.
That's where it all started. Yes. And a small thing that became what we know now. And their first celebration of Stonewall happened in I think the 4 major cities: LA, Chicago, New York. I can't remember the other one, but that's where the Pride Parade started, right?
Yes.
That was like their first one, the first anniversary. And then as time progressed, it became, all over the cities. And then it was, they were celebrating for a day, then it was the weekend, and then it was a week, and now it's a month. And if we're being honest, it's every day.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah.
It's not just Pride Month, because they have like transgender month, they have, homosexual month, they have lesbian month, they have all of this months. It's no longer a month. It's the whole year round. And I'm just like, well, how did this happen? Well, it started in a little place in New York City, and then we had a president, Barack Hussein Obama, who decided that, you know what, we need to make this global. We need to dominate everywhere with this. And I'm going to make this my number one priority. And that is what Obama did.
Yep.
And so he did that, right?
Yeah, he did.
He did. And he took it to the furthest of them all, and then said, I have the authority to make this marriage And so he did that too.
Yeah. But you know, we push with into human nature tells us. And there are a lot of rumors going around. And more, I see where they could be true, especially when dealing with him, this mysterious man who came out of nowhere as a community activist, but really one of the wealthiest presidents that ever lived. And his background was never out there. And you know, on the internet, you can scrub information from being seen, right? That even Al Sharpton, okay, how he came up, and he used to wear wires for what, the CIA or the FBI, either one of them.
Yeah,
he was
a snitch.
Yeah, exactly. But they take you when you're willing to submit, because if you want this power and notoriety, they will work with you. Even on social media, you have social media influencers who are willing to submit, that I know personally and even through other people, that are agents because they have influence, and they will say the right things oftentimes. They'll speak truth to power to win the people over. But when that entity comes and say, listen, you better be on board for this, and you need to say this and say that, they better do it. And you trust in them now en masse, you're going to say, well, maybe they have something pretty much proper to say, and I'm going to listen to them. It's a vicious thing. It's a vicious thing.
And we saw that on full display during this last election, and including Al Sharpton and everybody else that came out here to tell you and me, or, you know, the American people, to say, hey, you need to vote for Kamala. You need to do this. This is what you need to do if you want to save democracy, if you want to save the, well, they don't say republic because they call it the democracy, but we are a republic. But yeah, they all came out here, and because somebody called them up and say, hey, we need you out here on the campaign trail because Kamala is falling fast, and you need to come out here to get your followers to come out here and vote for her. So everybody got the call. Everybody was on their P's and Q's. Everybody came out, including Barack Hussein Obama. Right?
See that? And so with Kamala Harris and her desire to not do anything for Black people, when she said no, I'm going to do something for everybody. And of course, when you're the president of everybody. We understand that.
Yeah.
But we're always passed over, right? So it's not a matter of whining and crying and what. No, she wanted to take taxpayers' dollars and get sex change operations for guys that are locked up in prison. The borders were a joke. They might as well put the revolving door, just go on through. So now Trump has handed a mess, and these Kamalaites don't want to see any difference on you. Look, I've been doing this stuff for a long time. I speak to people who might have a high profile, but I can't say anything. I can't say they told me this, but this is something I know. Al Sharpton is always walking around with his girlfriends, or he has a girlfriend here, he has a girlfriend there. No, he ain't into them. He's not into them.
Oh God, no!
What? Let me just leave you with this. People don't have to believe it.
Wasn't he a tough guy once upon a time? You know,
he was never a tough guy. No. Tough guy. Look, he was very close with James Brown. And I wonder oftentimes when I hear James Brown in the old song, I feel good. I wonder to myself, where was Al Sharpton? He wasn't on his knees to pray when he was around James Brown.
Oh, right? Dear.
You might not find that out in 10 or 20 years. On his
knees, but not to pray, huh? Yeah, I don't see old Al Sharpton praying too much. And if he's praying, I know he ain't praying to the God that I know, because Al Sharpton is truly a disgrace. And I tell you, God has a plan and a place for him.
But you know what I meant, right?
God, I'm right there with you.
James Brown were very close.
Hear it.
Okay, I don't want to get anything happen to the channel here. I just say that they were very good friends.
No, my mind moved quick, friend. My mind moved quickly. So yeah, I got you all day. But you know, Al Sharpton continues to be the disgrace that he is, because I don't know if you saw, but recently with this boycott of Target, I think it was. He went to Costco. He brought people into Costco, I think like 100 people or so, and gave them like $25 gift cards or something so that they could purchase out of the store. So he could say, well, you know, if you don't stand with us, we're going to boycott you. We've got people back here, you know, who's going to not support you if you don't support the DEI efforts. And I'm just like, once again, Al Sharpton, I mean, are you really for Blacks? We know you're not. And we know you're out here only to get a bag. That's all you're about, is propelling yourself to the new heights and getting your bag. Kamala Harris paid him a lovely bag. And he, you know, he's living good right now. But he still needs to now secure more bags. And so he's saying that, you know, he's here to support these people or support these businesses who's going to support diversity, equity, and inclusion. But Al Sharpton, you know, I really just don't understand your point of view when I don't have the numbers here with me, but it's really not Black folks who benefit from diversity, equity, and inclusion. It really is the white liberal woman, pretty much. Those are the ones who really benefit, not Black folks. So you're out here stomping the pavement, you know, Black Lives Matter and, you know, DEI. But again, friend, your Black people ain't benefiting. And nothing you've ever done has ever benefited Black people.
There you go. There you go. He is a chosen leader. Who elected him to lead us as Black people? This is what they do. They give them media coverage.
I didn't get a vote on that.
But they give all this media. It's an engineered situation. Look, even in the music industry, you can take anybody and promote them, sweeten their voice in the studio. They could be 4'5", 500 pounds, 2 teeth in their head, and their breath smelling like Limburger cheese. But if you promote them enough, oh my God, there's the people suck it up. And so this is the thing with Al Sharpton. He's a puppet because these so-called leaders that the powers that be ordain, it's a good cop, bad cop scenario. And what do I mean by that? Well, something happens, a child is killed by the police, some type of discrimination, or somebody uses the N-word on somebody in school. Here comes Al Sharpton, right? And he speaks truth to power, and we celebrate because he's socking it to him. Didn't Al Sharpton tell him whatever? But it's the permission of those people who pull the strings, because when you have these fake leaders who speak so grand, it's a pressure valve for our frustrations. You see what I mean? So we go back to business after the Saturday rally, feeling though we did something, but we didn't do anything because we heard him and we did high five. Yeah, tell it to him, Al. But we go back to the same conditions. We go back to supporting other people's businesses. We go back to allowing our children to suck in bad entertainment. We don't change anything. And like I said, DEI has done nothing for us. It's the white woman, Latinos, and the rainbow flag people, right? Yeah. Nothing would work for us. And so many of us, I spoke with a friend the other night, and he was so ignorant to the fact, well, Donald Trump took away DEI, and now that's messing with Black people. Look, number one, we shouldn't even say those things, even if it was doing something for us, because nothing will work for us unless we have unity. The Chinese don't, right? Nobody comes over here. The Indians, anyway, they don't come here. They have unity. They don't all have to get along. But when it comes down to it, all we got is us. That's how they think. But we, as soon as we get a little leg up in the system, we turn our nose up at our own people and we don't look to show unity. We fight each other. We have been programmed to go against each other. We're jealous of each other whenever we see someone else who looks like us go up, and those sometimes they turn their nose up. Look, I'm an advocate for our upliftment, which will help the whole society and the whole world. But the bottom line is we're not winning. I don't care if we have a celebrity who's making money and this one so talented, whatever have you. This is a bizarro world. I would say 92% of us in America who identify as being American, African, African American, melanated, black, whatever you want to call it, old folks would call it Negro. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Whatever. I say 92% of us are doomed, meaning that, and I'm a person who's an optimist, even the intelligent ones who can't get over their idiosyncrasies, they're doomed. Look, do you need a lot of poison to kill somebody? You just need a little bit every day for a couple of days and it'll be undetectable. Many of us are rolling with what we have been inoculated with, and we don't see it.
Yeah.
Unity at all costs. Until we can do that, there's no program. There's no being subsidized in any kind of way or any government grant, nothing. We can become very intelligent, but at the core, we got this thing in us that when we're down and out now, we want to have a little unity, but as soon as we get a little freedom, I got this nice car now, I got this nice house now, I got this status in this position, you're not good enough to be around me, you're below me. And we're self-destructive to each other. But nobody's talking about the gang banging and the shooting each other, killing each other. I understand why that is, right? But we're so far gone, like triage. If you have a man who's having a heart attack, you have another man in the house where the house collapsed and a big wooden stake went through his leg. He's crying to you, please, Mr. Ambulance, EMF guy, come over here. You'll live. We got to deal. You see another one who had something hit his head and his brains are splattered all over the place. He's gone already. You got to make the decision. Who are you supposed to help? That man who's having a heart attack because you can save him. That man who has his brains busted, he's going to die. The man with the wooden stake and blood all over the place, don't pull. I know you're in pain, but you're going to live also. We got to make harsh decisions for our community, globally, nationally, wherever we are. And we got to heal ourselves up. And the person who exploits us and gets over on us and uses us for entertainment, uses us for pleasure on those levels, and uses us as a mule to keep their system going, we have to educate aggressively from young. But the children's minds are taken over, and too many of us as parents and elders are punks who don't want to upset the apple cart, because if I say that, then I might lose my job. If I say that, the people in my church, they may think I'm different. And church these days, that's a whole other subject, and we got to talk about it another time.
It's a whole other subject.
Another time.
Well, I think we'll wrap it up here, yes. But I want us to say, when you talk about unity, so, I'm on the radio on Thursday nights, and Dr. Issa White is one of my co-hosts on there. And so yesterday he brought up the point that that our friends, the Bloods and the Crips, have found commonality and unity because they are now banding together against the illegal criminals, in their vicinity in Chicago. So unity, though it may not be what we're looking for, but the Bloods and the Crips are coming together in unity.
If they can do it,
illegal criminal.
If they can do it, why are we in the church as a Baptist? Well, they're Presbyterian. Is it the same God? Oh, you're Pentecostal. Oh, you're this and you're that. What? Yeah. Different branches of the same tree.
Yeah.
Is religion truly spirituality? You know what I mean? So if they can do it, it's shaming all other factions of people who feel they're above them. If the Bloods and the Crips, after the bloody history that they've had across the land, if they can get along, that says a lot about us who have a supposed higher mind.
Mm-hmm. Well, Lance, this was great. I loved this conversation. I loved us doing this. and I want us to do this all the time. And you can next time we'll stream it
Call me
from your
anytime.
channel or
Yes.
however you want to do it.
Yes.
And you'll be able to pull this if you want to. It's now right. It's on the Conservative Poet, and I'm really glad that we did this. So, any last words? Anything you'd like to say?
I'm retired. I'm here. I do this every day. Well, I'm glad to be here with you. We had our conversations. Now it has manifest in its reality. Let's continue to do it as much as you can. I'm always here. I give myself to the people. You never have to wonder what I'm thinking about. I tell it like it is, but I do it in a way to not insult. But if truth insults, then there's going to be a lot of angry people at me, and I don't even mind that. I'm a big boy at this point.
Well, before we go, we have some people in the chat, and this happens to be somebody who follows you. Is it Gifty? Gifty.
Yes.
Gifty Sine. He says, I love Lance Scurv, and now I follow you. So, Gifty, if you're still here, I say thank you and welcome
she's here.
to the Conservative Poet. And really, really glad that you're here. So thank you for participating in the conversation, and everybody else that did participate. Thank you all very much. And I'm going to say, we're going to bid you a good evening, good night, wherever you are. God bless and keep you all. So, Seb, thank you very much. And we'll do it again.
Thank you so much. It's an honor. Call me anytime. I'm like a fireman. All right. Take care, everybody.
Okay. All right, Lance. Take care. Thank you. Bye-bye. Wow, that was awesome. I'm really glad that we finally had this conversation. And, we've talked offline, but this was our first recording together. So I'm really glad that we did it. So there you have it. Go and check out his channel. He is on YouTube, and find him there. He has great content. And he really brought a different perspective to me. Like I said, he's living in Ghana, American who moved out there. But, I wanted to hear his perspective on some things. I still have a whole lot of stuff that I'd like his perspective on. But this conversation about the transgender stuff and the LGBT stuff, I wanted to know, because I know that these African nations, they don't accept these things. They are not advocates for these things as we see here in America. And so I wanted to see his perspective on what he sees on the ground out there, because I know what we see on the ground here. I mean, like we talked about it already, all these, men and women's bathrooms, all this foolishness, all this craziness. No, I wanted to know what it's like over there. So I'm glad he was able to give us that perspective. So again, go check him out. Love this. Thank you very much. God bless you and keep you. And I'm going to pray for some people in the chat here. We've got some people in here that has some real demonic spirits upon them. And honey, I am going to church to pray for you right now. See ya.